This is part 2 as we are walking through understanding the process to sanctify a person, a place, or thing. This is where the end goal is, to where you become sanctified in order to be in the presence and relationship on another level with a holy God. So this is what we're talking about. Please check out part 1. And now we're about to go back into the study. Exodus 20:8. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Seventh day, keep it holy. Sanctify. You got to sanctify, set aside some time for Elohim, for God. Also, the work you must do, you got to sanctify it. It says, Leviticus 20:7, sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be holy, for I am the Lord your God. You got to do the work of sanctification. It's a work that you do. You got to do the work. You have to do the work of sanctification. If you submit to the process and the order and die to yourself, then you can get to this place of sanctification. Also, this was illustrated by God sanctifying the firstborn. God sanctified the firstborn of man and animals. You, especially these witches out here, you can't conjure up and make somebody else the firstborn. God didn't tell you to do that. You evil. You're demonic. You're out of order. You trying to tell God he didn't know what he was doing when he made someone firstborn and anointed them to be firstborn. It says, because all of the firstborn are his. How you going to tell God what to do with his? It's his. So when you mess with the firstborn, you messing with God. He going to come see about you. And you may think, oh, I'm not suffering. Watch. Because you don't mock and play with God. He says, for on the day that I smote all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn of Israel. God hallows, covers, and protects, and seals, and puts a mark on his firstborn. See, it was the parents' responsibility to carry out the sanctification of the firstborn. We see it in Luke 1:5, where Zechariah, the priest, God wouldn't even let him speak over the firstborn. He couldn't say nothing. He couldn't even name him. God, it's so important to understand the sanctification and the firstborn are God's that he couldn't say nothing. He had to name him John the Baptist for God's purpose. See, you got witches that'll misspell people's names and try to create a false narrative because they're trying to rebel, but they can't thwart the purposes of God. Your witchcraft tried it, but it's not going to thwart the purpose. What God says to be, it's going to be. When God says, let there be light, it's going to be light, and you still going to be dark in all ways that means. See, what happens is the enemy, the devil, isn't the accuser of the brethren, of people. You got these people that will accuse you of this and that all the time. And God weighs in the balance. And sometimes you got to state for the record, because we all in a spiritual court of law. You got to state for the record what is. And then God will judge and execute there. So I just stated what needed to be said. So let's continue, because they're his. And he says, I am the Lord. I'm going to do this. So I don't be arguing with these people no more. I let God deal with it, because I'm God's. So you're going to have to deal with God. Exodus 13:2, sanctify unto me all the firstborn. Not some of them. Not this one you don't like. No, all the firstborn. So in that, you got to keep it separate. This is your mentality, that when you're dealing with the stuff, the things that God has given you, there's an order to how you steward what God has given you. And he says in Deuteronomy 22:9, thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seeds. You can't mix it up. You can't put different types of seeds in the same vineyard. He said, lest the fruit of the seed which thou hast sown and the fruit of the vineyard be defiled. When you mix it up and try to mix it up, it's defiled. Just like I used to have a syndicated radio show in the early 2000s, Good Life Radio. We had like 30-something stations, millions of viewers, all the secular people, celebrity people, I could name them, all of them, would call in to the show, be a part of the show. We would play their, quote, gospel music, because back in the day, every rapper, hip-hop would do a gospel song and put it on their album, and then they would cuss and fuss and act a fool and do violence on the rest of the album. And I thought that was a good thing until God was like, no, you can't do this radio show no more. You can't mix it up. You can't have gospel music and then come back and play such and such gospel music when they have not sanctified, consecrated, set apart. You can't do God like that. You got to give God your best, your first. And so I ended up, removing myself, stopped doing the show. And so Leviticus 27:14, and when a man shall sanctify his house to be holy unto the Lord, then the priest shall estimate it, whether it's good or bad, and then they will make it, they'll come to some agreement, and he will set apart order and a room and space for the presence of God to dwell over the habitation. 1 Kings 9:3, and the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house which thou hast built, to put my name there forever. So God had them build a temple, a house, and they put his name rested there because it was set apart. It was sanctified. Even all the instruments and everything that was used in the temple was sanctified, set apart, consecrated for God's use. So when you fully understand, this is why Jesus said even the rocks would cry out if you didn't praise and worship God, because they know the beauty, the honor, the glory of God, to be in God's presence, to have God allow you to read his word, for the Holy Spirit to unpack his word and show you the depth and the meaning and the multi-dimension of his word. That is an awesome thing that's worthy to be praised. I don't take it for granted that God gives me these revelations and just unpacks the word with me. It's always been like this since I was a child. But as I've gotten older, he has, amplified my understanding. And so we must fear God in our process to sanctification, to sanctify. Isaiah 8:13, sanctify the house, the Lord of hosts himself. Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Fear God above everything. Don't be fearing what people think, what they gonna say, what the group gonna say, what the family gonna say. No. Be more concerned about what God is saying in his word. This has been another episode of Concordance and Coffee. Thank you for listening. Share it. Post it. Amen.